Hey there, this is Wednesday, July 14th, 2021. Welcome back, Laura. And boy, some interesting news today. I have some interesting things in the drop down we'll be discussing today. I watched something that Don Jr., I think Don Jr. put something on Twitter. I don't like to listen to his videos because he always talks about, hey guys. I'm not, that doesn't describe me. So, I mean, I'm a bit obnoxious about that, but I don't mind reading his tweets. So he said Senate Democrats are rushing a vote on Biden's radical anti-Second Amendment ATF nominee. Now, this is alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. So Biden has a nominee who's very radical and is against the Second Amendment. If they betray the Second Amendment, we have to let them know that they're going to pay for it. So there are 4 senators that he asked us to contact. Now, you can contact them through Twitter. Hi, Mia and Morgan. You can contact them for Twitter from Twitter if I didn't put that down below. I'm going to read off what their Twitter handle is. Down below is their name and their DC phone number. So Senator Sinema, her Twitter is @Senate. All of them are @Senator, and then their name. So @Senator Sinema, and that number's down below. @Senator Tester, and his number. Now with Angus King, it's just SEN. @Sen Angus King, for the Twitter account, and then @Senator Hassan. So those 4 people are key to this vote. And so Don Jr.'s asked us to contact them either through Twitter or through the phone calls that I have listed down below. We know they're coming for them. So, and what we can say is that you can't claim to support the Second Amendment if you vote. And the guy who's the nominee his name is David Chipman. David Chipman. CHIP as in Paul, MAN. I also have a link down below to the Center for Medical Freedom. It's got legal and health information to revoke mandated shots. The colleges and universities in Virginia are not allowing kids to come back to school without having gotten a shot. And this website that I put below will give you information if you've got kids going back to college, especially in Virginia. But, I would imagine the information listed there would be good. I was so busy collecting information that I didn't check some of these websites out. But it was, I believe it was General Flynn that gave that website. Steve Bannon is reporting that the audit batch sheets don't match ballots. And all the ballots that they do have record of were for Biden. And you know what? I forgot to write down which state that was happening in. I think it was Georgia. This news story really, I've got more to say about the election, but we'll get to it. This story really got me in the gut. There are abortion groups that are protesting the Texas heartbeat bill, and one of the females, I'll say female, she had a sign that said, quote, "Abortion saves lives," end quote. That they were protesting in support of a lawsuit that they're putting forward against the state's Texas heartbeat bill. But abortion saves lives? Whose life does an abortion save? Certainly not the baby's life. And not very often, but sometimes it doesn't even save the mother's life. That one really got me. There is also a door-to-door instruction manual that you can download, or you can open up the link and read it, that Biden is doing with his door-to-door stuff about trying to educate the public and offer. I watched a video of an older Black man, and this crew was coming through with education, with brochures, offering to give the jab right then and there. And he was interviewed afterwards, and he says, well, I couldn't go get it because I didn't have a way to get to where they were, even if they were free. I really appreciate that they came to me. You know, it made me sad. And I just was listening to Kat Kerr, and she said, you know, folks, don't just listen to the news for gathering information and satisfying your curiosity. She said, use the news as prayer points. And I'll tell you, I sat here this morning looking at some news clips. I didn't quite have tears streaming down my face, but my eyes did fill with tears. And I said, Lord, these people are ignorant. They don't know what they're doing. They are so deceived. And some of them are just plain evil. We need your help. And at each story I read, and that tends to be my habit. I don't do it all the time. Sometimes I forget. But God allows us to have information so that we can do something about it. And we have a responsibility, if we get information, that we are to do something about it. I was listening to Dr. Michael Lake and his wife a couple hours ago, their video that they posted yesterday, and he mentioned Esau and how Esau lost his birthright and was so. That's a good point, Morgan. That's a really good point. Talking about Esau, he said Esau wanted the blessing, but the thing of it was with the firstborn, there was responsibility that the firstborn had. When the father died, the firstborn son was to then take care of the family. There was a lot of responsibility. And Esau loved hunting, and Dr. Lake was saying Esau didn't want the responsibility. In contrast to Jacob, who was there with his mom, who was getting involved in the workings of the home and so on. And so he was willing to accept the responsibility. Therefore, he deserved the blessing and the birthright. And I'd never heard it put that way. I always appreciate when somebody takes a familiar story and adds a new nuance to it to explain things, you know? So it had a little more significance than that, but that's all I'm going to say about that. It's been interesting with the next race for governor in Georgia is starting to heat up. President Trump has endorsed Vernon Jones. Lynn Wood is endorsing Candace Taylor. Vernon Jones is saying, don't worry about the audit. We'll take care of it after I'm elected. Well, Candace Taylor is saying, whoa, we got to do it right now, because if they can cheat to what they've done, you know, the Republican won't get into office. I have to say, I stand with Candace on that one. I haven't wanted to talk about all the bodies being found in Canada at the schools that these mass graves are digging up. They have investigated and searched 7 schools. They still have 497 schools to go. But in these 7 schools, they have found 1,505 bodies. I mean, I hate to be a bearer of such horrible news, but, you know, when I saw that, I just stopped and I said, Lord, there's so much wickedness in the earth. God, we need your help. You know, stories like that aren't for our horror. Stories like that are for our prayer. Because, like Kat Kerr was just saying 10 minutes ago, when you pray about the news, what happens before anything happens in the physical realm, something has to happen in the spiritual realm. And so if we want something to be done about these horrible situations, we've got to be in prayer about them, to enlist God's help, to enlist the angelic help. Yes, I know the churches are being burned. They are talking about the churches being burned. They are not talking about all these bodies being found. Is there a connection between the schools and the burned churches? I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't know who is orchestrating the burning. I don't know if this is a retaliation for the story about the children, or if this is just more evil. Arturo, the Polish pastor, we knew that he'd been indicted and arrested a couple times. He's in the States. He's on vacation. There are actually 30 indictments against him. If he goes back to Canada, he will immediately be arrested and held for at least 4 years for his refusal to close his church. This is a satanic effort to close the church and stop the voice of God in the land. Now, Canada is a little further ahead in this process than we are, but look how many pastors closed their churches. Look how few pastors kept them open, and look what they have done to them. Thank God the one in Louisiana, in New Orleans, he was let off the hook, appropriately so. Rodney Howard Brown, they arrested him. If the churches are closed, I think so, Mia. The devil has been unleashed. If the churches are closed, where do people go to get the truth? Because they are trying to censor, for example, internet. I don't know how long I'll be on, President Trump had a video on Telegram that talked about the China plan. And that has to do with this bioweapon that we've been talking about. They can't invade. They want our land because we have such good farmland, and China does not have the ability to raise enough food for its people. They can't invade and take us over because we are armed, because the public is armed. But if they can kill off that, they want at least 70% of the population to get stuck in the arm. If they can, and of course we know that it ends up in death. If they can kill off through this bioweapon 70% of the population, 30% will not be strong enough to stand up against an invading force. And the Chinese are being welcomed in under the UN Blue Hats, or they will be invited in to help dispose of the bodies. Well, that won't be their only purpose in being here. They will turn around, and you can imagine what they will do. I watched a video of General Flynn and General McInerney. They were talking about an unrestricted warfare manual that China had in the 1990s. I don't think I put that. I didn't put the link down below. I was going to put the link down below, and I didn't. It's Flynn and McInerney, Unrestricted Warfare Manual, if you want to look for it. The plan is for China to be a superpower by 2029. I was surprised it was that far in advance, or that far ahead. Yeah, of course it was deleted, Heather. I mean, we saw all the coffins all over that were being distributed around the country at the end of Obama's term. I mean, that's what Hillary was supposed to bring in. And don't forget, I have reported the tons and tons of body bags that UPS, FedEx, private aircraft are shipping all over the country. I don't know if UPS is, but I know for a fact FedEx is. Tons and tons. One shipment was 80 tons, and each bag weighs 5 pounds. That's a fact, and I have it from an impeccable source. I should have posted this. There is a website for Australians. I'll just read it to you. If you want it, you're going to have to just stop, and I'll read this slowly to you and just rewind and catch it. Write it down. https://qrco.d as in David /capital A US hyphen your YOUR hyphen 1988 1988 privacy, capital P for privacy, capital A for act, hyphen crime to demand health states. So what this is all about is that in 1988, Australia signed a bill making it a crime for anyone to demand to know your health status. Now, this is Australia, but I think the Nuremberg codes also made this an international law. So if Australians don't want to be harassed by this, this is a law that they can pull up. There's an intelligence agreement between the Five Eyes countries. That's US, Canada, UK, Australia, and New Zealand regarding intelligence gathering. And they put out an international effort against Trump because he was going to stop globalism and promote America first. And so, Larry had told us all of this starting in early 2016, summer of 2016, he started talking about this. Now, he says that China is our main enemy, and yet there is some kind of cooperation going on because China has a deep state just like we do, and apparently Xi Jinping and Putin are not part of all that, is what I have read. I don't know. Larry never talked about this. Being doomed to repeat history, Joel, is something I have known since I was a teenager. When I learned about what Hitler had done, I just thought, well, it'll be the Christians next. I mean, I don't know how I knew that, but I guess that was just knowledge that God put in my heart as a teenager. You are absolutely right, Joel. So I was watching a video that said Durham has it all. Trump is saying, where's Durham? Where's Durham? My suspicion is he's at Gitmo or somewhere, but I don't know if he is. I don't know. He has interviewed so many people in his the things that he's been doing as special prosecutor. And of course, we're hearing again and again, be patient. He has it all. Be patient. He has it all. But don't ever forget what Larry told us. Timing is everything. And so there are people who are suggesting, or George Papadopoulos actually is one of the ones that thinks it's when the election audit is revealed, then we will hear about all this other stuff. Derek Gilbert, changing to a new topic, Derek Gilbert said that the VAERS incident, adverse effects webpage has now said that there are 9,000 deaths, but I saw somebody else on Telegram today suggest that it's actually 50,000. And that's from Adverse Effects. Two more stories. The Arizona's Senate President Karen Fann said the number of ballots found by the audit does not match the certified total, and it's off by a lot, significant number difference. So we need to be pushing. Yesterday I gave a list of Michigan state senators to contact to promote the forensic audit. I've asked you to contact Senator Mastriano and Senator Dush in Pennsylvania to ask what we can do to support their push. Another story I read was talking about state and nations declaring bankruptcy. One of the examples they gave was how a few years ago, and I talked about this yesterday with Larry, mentioned that Larry had gotten a call from somebody concerned about Greece's bankruptcy, and they said, the video I was watching today said these states, like states in the U.S. and nations, are not bankrupt as they have claimed to be. What they have done is they have taken the money from states and nations and given it. Yes, that's right, Bears. They've taken the money and given it to the deep state, and then they have two sets of books. Now, if you remember, Larry had said back in 2016, he told us in Clinton Chronicles, he told us he's mentioned it before, that when he went to work for Bill Clinton, when he was governor, he was put in charge of ADFA, the Arkansas ADFA made loans. It was supposed to be about giving loans to schools and churches and so on to help build churches and schools. Instead, the money was given as a grant, never to be paid back, only to Clinton's crony friends, Dan Lasseter, for example. And he was shocked. He said he was there for 2 weeks going over the books because he's really good with numbers. He was going over the books, and after 2 weeks, they gave him the real books. So for the first 2 weeks, he was just dealing with cooked books. Gloria, that's what I've heard too. So we have straight from Larry's mouth proof of this video I watched today, or this comment I saw on Telegram today, talking about the money being confiscated. I mean, look at Dick Cheney and GW. The fact that the CIA had trillions of dollars in Building 7 that came down. And who was it that announced the day before, on September 10th, that they were going to, Rumsfeld, Donald Rumsfeld had announced that they had lost trillions of dollars. Well, apparently the number was much greater than what he announced. Yeah, Clintonomics, that's right, Reagan. Anyhow, all hidden. So I'm hearing reports. Now, I owe, one of these days I'm going to have to call James Reeves and apologize to him, because he kept talking about the dumbs and everything. There was no verification. I didn't understand who Gene Decodes was. Some of the things he told me about Gene just seemed so off. And so the timing was wrong to be publicly talking about that. But apparently the information that James had was far more correct than Larry or I ever knew. And Larry didn't know about all that stuff. Bankruptcy funds. I watched a video between somebody in, I think it was the Haitian leadership, was having a Q&A type thing with President Trump and this black guy from Haiti got up and revealed the money that had been stolen out of Haiti. The fact that, well, I said to you yesterday that he reported that Hillary's brother had a 26-year contract having to do with all the gold that Haiti had and the mining that was done. And I can't remember the details, but I read somewhere about billions of dollars. Poor country. And there's billions of dollars available, and how that all got funneled. And it wasn't, here we had the Clinton Foundation supposedly being given billions of dollars to help Haiti. Instead, all of this stuff went into the Clinton Foundation, and where did that money go? It just all disappeared into somebody's pocket, it would seem. The only cell phone company in Haiti as well. Sheesh. Yeah. The one thing that got me, the one statement I read today that got me is the fact that Trump keeps talking about power to the people, power to the people. How much of his delay is because the people are expecting him to do something, and we're sitting back waiting for him to come back. We're sitting, it went into her campaign for sure. Are we sitting back waiting for Trump to come back and for Trump's, knowledge and his people to do things, for the military to do things, and we don't have to do anything? No. Trump is trying to tell us, you have to be responsible for your lives. Power to the people, power to the people. Well, the only way we have power to the people is if we take that power and use it. So that's why I gave a whole list. You'll have to find yesterday's video for the to get involved in making calls to Michigan. I've got a list of 4 U.S. senators down below here to call. We've got to start doing more. I know, I'm talking to you guys. You need to tell some other things. We have to be careful. We need to be wise as Larry has told us about what we say and who we say it to, because we don't want to come across just as the nutcases. Even if conspiracy theorists are proven right an X amount of time later, we have to do whatever we can do legally. We have to be careful that our language is legal. I wish Larry were here, because one of the things they said in calling these senators is to say, vote correctly or you will pay. Well, that sounds like a horrific threat. So what I put at the bottom is, you'll pay at the polls, because that indicates that, we're going to vote them out. Maybe it's even safer to say, if you vote for this guy, we're going to vote you out. We're going to vote against you. This is weird. I've got a wire or something coming up out of my keyboard. I don't know what that's from. Kind of weird. Hope it doesn't short out the computer. All right, so we spent a lot of time on that. I'm going to read through Proverbs 14 today. The wise woman builds her house. Now, when Ruth married Boaz, she was blessed by the leaders of the city. And they said, may you build up your house like Rachel and Leah, who formed the 12 tribes of Israel. So building up a house, that's talking about being blessed by having children. We know many are barren. It was very hard on women who were barren. And you know how unusual it was for Abraham's wife Sarah and Elizabeth in the New Testament to have children in their old age. That was a miraculous act of God, to take away the shame of their barrenness. But your wisdom is going to help you build your family. But with her own hands, the foolish one tears her household down. He whose walk is upright fears the Lord. Here we go again with the fear of the Lord. It makes you wise. And it says the beginning of wisdom is the fear of the Lord earlier in Proverbs. But he whose ways are devious despises God. We're going to hear this thing about despising God several times in this chapter, what the fool does. A fool's talk brings a rod to his back, but the lips, here we go again with the words, the lips of the wise protect them. Where there are no oxen, the manger is empty, but from the strength of an ox comes an abundant harvest. But of course, you got to sow in order to get that harvest. A truthful witness does not deceive. Here we go again with God hates lies of Proverbs 6:19. But a false witness pours out lies. And we'll see this same verse in verse 25 will be repeated. The mocker seeks wisdom, but finds none. So the fool is not going to be wise, But knowledge comes easily if you're discerning. Stay away from a foolish man, for you will not find knowledge on his lips. Why? Because the fool says in his heart, there is no God. So stay away from him. Somebody who says, if the fool says there is no God and you're to stay away from the fool, then you need to stay away from somebody who is saying there is no God. This chapter is so full of the importance of seeking God's face and being one of his children and living for the Lord. Thank you, Teriyaki, for talking about how many are shamed if you have more than 2 children, but children are a blessing from the Lord. That is absolutely biblical. So the wisdom of the prudent is to give thought to their ways. So you're considering what you're doing. But the folly of fools is deception. They deceive and they're just not paying attention to what's going on. They're just, whatever feels good, that's what they do. That's not okay. Fools mock at making amends for sin, but goodwill is found among the upright. There was a biblical premise of making amends, just like, Zacchaeus saying, if I've stolen anything, I'm going to give back 4 times. Each heart knows its own bitterness, and no one else can share its joy. That's why it's so important, folks. Don't ever say to somebody, I know exactly how you feel. If you want to share your story, say something like, I've had an experience that gives me a hint at what you might be going through, but I can never know exactly what you feel. You can't. Each heart knows its own bitterness, and no one else can share its joy. The house of the wicked will be destroyed, but the tent, listen to the house versus the tent, of the upright will flourish. Remember, it's talked about, a wealthy man versus the poor man, and the poor man who's doing righteous deeds. We may or may not get some rewards in this life, but certainly our rewards are being stored up in heaven. There's a way that seems right to a man, but in the end, it leads to death. Boy, that's a warning to take heed. I learned to memorize that verse early in life. Even in laughter, the heart may ache, and joy may actually end in grief. The faithless will be fully repaid for their ways. The faithless. And the good man will be rewarded for his. And again, I'm going to say, you may get some of that here and now and certainly eternally. A simple man is willing to believe anything, but a prudent man is going to give thought to his steps. That's also, didn't even realize that till now. That's also what I just read in verse 8. The wisdom of the prudent is to give thought to their ways. So here we go. A prudent man gives thought to his steps. A wise man fears the Lord and shuns evil, but a fool is hot-headed and reckless. There is a verse somewhere that says, don't hang out with a hot-headed or hot-tempered person. A quick-tempered man does foolish things, and a crafty man is hated because they're plotting evil. The simple will inherit folly, but the prudent are crowned with knowledge. Evil men, and here we go again, just the verses where half of it is the wise, half of it is the fool. Evil men bow down in the presence of the good, and the wicked will bow down at the gate of the righteous. The poor are shunned even by their neighbors, but the rich have many friends. And when I was reading that this morning, I just thought, friends, really? Are they true friends? What happens when the rich, something happens to them, either of their own making or something just happens to them and suddenly they're not rich anymore? If they're true friends, they'll help them out. But how many of us see that happening? I was talking to somebody, was it yesterday or the day before? And I was saying, why did God call me to give everything I had? Why couldn't he call a rich person to give a portion of what they had? God's looking for people to be willing. I guess what, this whole thing about what goes around comes around. You know how Job said, what I feared most is what came upon me. He reaped that statement a year before God asked me to give everything I had. I had told the Lord that I wanted to learn to walk by faith. And so he held me to it. But I knew that the learning, whatever it cost me, I knew when I made that statement, I wasn't being foolish. I mean, I know if you pray for patience, everything falls apart so that you can develop patience. It tries your patience more than anything else. But in the process, you develop the patience that you long for because it's a good thing to have. So when I asked the Lord that I wanted to learn to live by faith, God knew I meant it. And so I spent a year building my faith by the time I spent in the Word. For example, in 2015, I prayed this prayer in January 2015 and spent 4 months reading through the whole Bible, cover to cover, in 4 months. Ringing, the only time the wicked are remorseful is during their sentencing in court when they realize the gig is up and they didn't believe it was going to happen to them. They didn't think it was possible. I mean, just look at the story, if this is true, of Comey and Brennan, even cursing as Colby cursing as the blade came down on his neck, Biden cursing as they put the rope around his neck. I mean, Brennan, not Biden. If those stories are true, you're just right, Ringen. Romaine, absolutely, we need to be praying for South Africa because of. Pray for the godly to have a hedge of protection around them for the evil that is happening there, and the foolishness in recognizing the looters. If they steal everything and the stores close up, there'll be nothing left for anybody else. How selfish. And if the farmers are killed and the people who don't know how to farm think that they're going to get food, how foolish. So we pray for wisdom and understanding. But, here we are reading about the quick-tempered man. That's what we're seeing in all this rioting. Quick tempers. And the fools that are just doing foolish things and don't have enough wisdom to realize that they need to support the wise. Let's see. He who despises his neighbor is sinning, but blessed is the one who is kind to the needy. Don't those who plot evil go astray? But those who plan, see the plot of evil versus the plan what is good, find love and faithfulness. That's quite a contrast. All hard work brings a profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. The wealth of the wise. That's just, I mean, what are these characters doing who are just stealing? That's not hard work. The wealth of the wise is their crown, but the folly of fools just yields more folly. A truthful witness, here we are in verse 25 again, just exactly what we had in verse 5 earlier. A truthful witness saves lives, but a false witness is nothing but deceit. He who fears the Lord has a secure fortress. This reminds me of what I said yesterday about Psalm 91. We're thinking about 1,000 may fall at your side and 10,000 at your right hand. It will not come near you. A lot of the promises in Psalm 91 we can claim for ourselves and our children. I spent the whole year of 2015 many hours in prayer for my family, for a hedge of protection around them. And as soon as I heard, I called them in February this year to warn them to make sure that they were not going to participate in. They had the illness, a mild case of it. They got through it. And then they're going to destroy their body. I prayed that they got the control that has no spike protein in it. And I am claiming the fact that I prayed all year in 2015 the way I did. Absolutely, Romaine. He who fears the Lord has a secure fortress, and for his children it will be a refuge. So, this is, again, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, knowledge, prudence. These are the things that offer protection to us, like Psalm 91 does. But don't forget, sin is passed on to our children to 3 and 4 generations, but generations are blessed to 1,000 of your downline. Your downline, 1,000 generations. And so if we are serving the Lord, we can claim God's blessing over our children and grandchildren. We can claim that because he said his blessing endures for 1,000 generations. And that is part of what I am using now as I pray for my family. And it's not just my downline, but it's, sister, their kids, it's the sideline, the downline. I don't know that there's anybody upline. Mom's not going to get it, so at least that's what she says now. And I pray that she won't be deceived into it. The fear of the Lord, again, the fear of the Lord is a fountain of life. Remember Deuteronomy where it says, I set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Choose life. So the fear of the Lord is a fountain of life, turning a man away from the snares of death. And that's, again, where we need to be praying for family, that they will have the fear of the Lord. Now, God forgives if we confess sin, so we need to be telling our children to repent of this and seek forgiveness and seek healing. And God sent forth his word to heal. So I've packed up all my stationery, haven't moved as soon as I thought I'd be moved by now. And so I was at the dollar store yesterday and found a couple little packs of note cards. And so it's time for me to get some letters written. A large population is a king's glory, but without subjects, a prince is ruined. Boy, that's what China's tried to do, right? A patient man has great understanding, but a quick-tempered man displays folly. A heart at peace gives peace to the body, gives life to the body, but envy will rot the bones. We know that stress destroys your health. So a heart at peace is going to give your body life. That's right, Faith. He who oppresses the poor shows contempt for their maker, but whoever is kind to the needy honors God. Blessed is he who is kind to the needy in verse 21. And then down here in 31, whoever is kind to the needy is honoring God. God promises blessing when we honor God. When calamity comes, the wicked are brought down, but even in death, the righteous have a refuge. Why is that? Because we have heaven. Wisdom reposes in the heart of the discerning, and even among fools she lets herself be known. Righteousness, I love this verse. I memorized this early in life too. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a disgrace to any people. There's another verse here in Proverbs that talks about, when we have a righteous king, the godly rejoice. So righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a disgrace to any people, any population. A king delights in a wise servant. I think that's why Larry, once he came to Christ and turned against wickedness and gave up everything for it, his advice has been sought for decades, or was sought for decades. But a shameful servant incurs the king's wrath. So that's the end of chapter 14. We'll be in chapter 15 tomorrow. Sorry the news took so long today. God bless you guys. Don't forget to let's all be active in taking our country back. I found a house. I went through a neighborhood in one of the safest towns I looked at a website, crime in my state here, and found the two safest towns. I haven't found where the safest one was, but the other one's not far from where I live. And so I went driving around to looking at some homes that were for sale. Went through this neighborhood. There was only one house for sale. Well, yesterday I realized there was another house for sale in that neighborhood, and I'll tell you that the exterior brick was my favorite color. It was cream, and I've never seen cream brick before. I've seen brick painted white, but I've never seen cream brick. It was beautiful. The inside of the house, the kitchen was, talk about a dream kitchen. It was fabulous. So I drove up there last night and looked at it. So I texted my agent because I thought it had just come on the market yesterday, because I'd been through the neighborhood Friday evening and it wasn't for sale because I went down that street and looked. So she said this morning we can't go see it because they had just this morning decided put it under contract. They had the offers already. So I am not sure what day it went on the market. It was not on the market Friday, but it's sold today already. So, I'm praying about this as I was driving through the neighborhood. On the other hand, and this had me really puzzled last night. Last Friday and last night, there was something about that neighborhood that just, you get that feeling in your stomach that something's not quite right here. And when I got the message back from my agent, I thought, well, thank the Lord. There was something in my spirit that was just a check in my spirit that's not the neighborhood I'm supposed to be in. It just made me wonder what was happening spiritually in that neighborhood. Who is there? What are neighbors involved in? Just made me wonder if there were some people involved in witchcraft that was not blessing that neighborhood. I don't know. I don't know. The location felt good to me, the location of the neighborhood, but there was something in my spirit that somehow didn't like it. The houses were cute. They were kept up well. The landscaping wasn't dramatically beautiful, but it wasn't a mess. And I've been places where things in this state, I've gone places where it's just, I looked at one house. The house online looked fabulous. I went, this is perfect. Looked at the size of the lot, looked at the house, looked at some special features about the house, drove over there yesterday. It was the first house I looked at yesterday. Oh, the mess around it. Coming into the neighborhood, it was just absolutely, well, just picture Fred Sanford and Sanford and Sons and what their yard looked like on that TV show. Yeah, the whole neighborhood was like that until you got to this house, and I just went, oh my word, God bless them trying to get this thing sold, because I looked at the history of the house. They have tried over and over and over again to sell it with no indication that it's been able to sell. I mean, going back to 2015, listed, nothing unsold. Listed, nothing unsold. Well, I think the neighborhood, it was a foolish decision to go in there, and maybe they got a good price on the lot. Well, yeah, look what's around it. So, yep. Learning to trust my gut and not be overly anxious, because I'm eager to have a place where I can, because I haven't unpacked everything since I came here, and I've had to pack things back up. And I don't know. A bargain buy, yeah. But I don't intend to be there forever, so I know I'll be trying to sell it again. And if they have this much history of trouble selling it, I'm not going there. I'm not touching it. So I don't know where God's going to have me. But like I told you yesterday, I keep looking for a place where I'm going to feel safe. And the Lord asked me in the car yesterday. No, I told you yesterday. I think it was something that I had discussed with him Friday night on my way home. So, Mary Ellen, do you want a place that you are trusting the place for your safety? Or do you want a place where you can minister and you trust me for your safety? And I went, well, Lord, that's a no-brainer. Okay. But I still need to know where that is. So, and I have somebody suggesting that I come living in a place that is listed as a dangerous place to live. So I'm having a little resistance on that. But I do look. I had actually made an offer in that town and didn't get it. So anyhow, that's it for today. We'll talk tomorrow as long as we have internet. I keep saying that because I keep hearing they're going to go dark. So who knows? God bless you. No, absolutely. The nice thing about this neighborhood, I mean, it really was cookie cutter. That different color brick, not exactly the same front, but they were not a whole lot of variety in the sizes of the homes. Mia, you're absolutely right. I mean, I sold real estate for a very short time, many years ago. So that was one of the first things that we learned. And of course, the other thing you learn is location. And that doesn't always have to do with your own house. That has to do with what's around your house. So, yeah. I heard somebody yesterday talking again about an interview with Bill Clinton. Oh, shoot. What was the name of the guy? Some famous, I think at ABC reporter, interviewing Bill Clinton, asking who your three worst enemies are. And he said, Larry Nichols. I don't know why I said that, but anyhow. Laura, I keep thinking about that for you and Diva as well. Pondering that quite a bit. So, the Lord has something that he's, when I think of timing is everything. Larry said that so many times. Timing is everything. And that is true in so many things in life. So, Laura, timing is everything. We wait on the Lord. God bless you. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.